are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Larck on Twitter, who forgot to put his overlay off. Yeah, there we go. Dylan Larck on Twitter. Talk to you later in the latest Auburn basketball news because the regular season is officially over. Your Auburn Tigers are the SEC regular season champs. We've talked about that for over a week now. That was pretty much clinched after Tennessee hit a game winner in Alabama just earlier this week. But Auburn, fresh off of back-to-back losses. And, of course, this is Auburn, a great season overall. Can't lie. The one of the best seasons Auburn's ever had in the history of their basketball program. But the last two games definitely have left a sour taste in my mouth, and I would assume the mouths of plenty of Auburn fans who sat down and watched the game yesterday. Auburn's been exposed in back-to-back games. And whether or not you're worried about that, if you think Auburn just kind of coasted through the remainder of the season after winning the SEC title, that's up for you to decide on that. I ultimately think Auburn tried to win both these games, but A&M and Alabama both figured out how to beat Auburn. And that's preventing them from getting boards, preventing them from getting those second chance points, preventing them from, just out shooting them too. That's something Alabama did well. I mean, look at what happened yesterday. Auburn's defense fell apart. And honestly, it felt like Denver Jones wasn't 100%. I don't know if he re-injured anything, it would not have been worth what we saw. But Denver 9.6 assists for him. But kind of just comparing the box score here. Alabama shot 52 to Auburn's 48. 3-point line, I mean, Auburn shot the ball better. But free throw line, Auburn attempted 17 free throws. Alabama shot 24. Turnovers, Auburn forced 15 turnovers, and Auburn only had 9 points off the turnovers. It was pretty much the 2-to-1 ratio, 20-10. Rebounds, Auburn got rebounded defensively, could not prevent Alabama from getting offensive rebounds. Second chance points, Alabama got the win in that category. Points off the bench, 22 from both sides. But when you talk about the 22 points, you got 19 from Todd Pettiford and 3 points from Chaney Johnson. Jeem Hudson, Chris Moore, and Ja'Kai Howard did not put up a single point in this game. Alabama's bench, all of them, there was 3 as the lowest from Stevenson, but everybody else 5, 6, 8, and what is that, 15? Not 15, that's not from the bench. 5, 6, 3, and 8 is the points from there. Points in the paint, 52-40 in favor of Alabama. Fast break points, 13-10 in favor of Alabama. Steals, Auburn got the lead in that. Blocks, Auburn got the lead. Times tied. This game was tied 10 times. Auburn had the lead for 9 minutes this game. Alabama had it for 30 minutes. It was a staunch difference from what we saw last time these two teams played. It was just not a great performance for Auburn. And again, it worries me that I've seen back-to-back games where Auburn have looked like they coasted through. And the big discussion right now is whether or not Auburn is going to maintain that number 1 overall seed that they pretty much had locked down going into this week. I mean, it was up between Auburn and Duke, and I can't lie. I mean, I'm an Auburn fan, and I might sound biased and one of those fans saying this, but the media has definitely been screaming for Duke to be the number 1 overall seed. They've been yelling for Janai Broome not to be National Player of the Year this season, and this has been one of the most infuriating weeks to be a basketball fan, being an Auburn basketball fan at that, because the media has been absolutely tearing up Auburn. And some of it is warranted. I can't lie. Chad Baker-Mazar getting a flagrant 2, that should have probably been a flagrant 2 upon further review. But, I mean, dude, some of the officiating in this game, the calls that were being said by the commentators, this was not Auburn's game. It just was not. Grant Nelson went into, and I think he did it. I don't think he dunked on anybody, but he dunked the ball. Came down. I think he screamed something in Dylan Cardwell's face or Janai Broome, which one of those two. And a turnaround. Oh, it was Dylan Cardwell. And then did the Crimson Crane thing, which, was funny back in like 2022, whenever that was like a big deal. But now it's like, why are you still doing it? But did that. which Chad Baker-Mazara, I mean, he got a flagrant 2. They kicked him out of the game for elbowing someone in the back of the head, but I cannot imagine if Chad did that Crimson Crane thing after dunking on Garrett Nelson. I can't not see Chad Baker-Mazara getting thrown out of the game for celebrating a dunk. It's something like again, don't take that. He earned that flagrant 2 in this game, but definitely would have gotten called if he did any kind of taunting towards Alabama, which it's the officiating this season has just been terrible. It's not even just Auburn centric. That the SEC has had some of the worst officiating across the 2 major sports, which it makes it worse because you're going to see it right in front of you every single time an SEC team is playing on the screen. You have SEC officials. It's terrible calls. It's terrible. It's just god awful, and I don't understand why nothing's being said about it from someone from the SEC. The amount of whistles in this game was crazy. I mean, I look at both teams. I think both teams had about 20 fouls, which but the amount of free throws is where I come from here. Is there a game this season where Auburn shot more free throws than the opposing team? I don't think there is. I don't know if there really is one. But the fact that this game, which is this is a great game. Both sides had to deal with this throughout the entirety of it. The fact that SEC officials just make every single game about them is the craziest thing to me. That's it. If you want to have bad officiating, that's fine. If you want your conference to be known for bad officiating, that's fine. Why does every game have to have guys who like to blow the whistle for 20 minutes of a 40, what should be like an hour and a half long game? Those games end up going to 2 hours, 2.5 hours because they won't stop blowing the whistle. If it's a rivalry game at that too, 2 physical teams are playing and you're blowing soft whistles. That happens so much over the past, and it can only get worse. It can only get worse. It was terrible to watch. What this game was in general was just terrible to watch. Auburn was just out of it from the get-go. You had a great game from Janai Broome with 34 points. You had another game where he could have had an opportunity to hit his career high. Just tied his Auburn high, which is his career too. I think he hit 34 at Morehead State too. 34 points from Janai, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 blocks, and 3 steals in 43 minutes. Of course, the game did go into overtime. After that, I mean, you had Jahad Pettiford again, 19 points from Jahad, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. For Hod. Miles Kelly was third on the team in points, 13, and 3 of 7 from the 3-point line. But Miles Kelly took he was I think he was pretty much scoreless in the first half. And I got himself going later on. But yeah, 3 of 7 for him, so 13 points. After that, Denver Jones got 9 points. Chad Baker-Mazara had 7 points before he ended up getting thrown out of the game. And Dylan Cardwell was 6 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists for Dylan, and then Chaney Johnson, last person on the box score, only really took 1 field goal and then combined that with another free throw to get himself his 3 points. No one on this basketball team, this was a 91 points were scored by Auburn. No one on this team had a plus minus in the double digits. The highest was Denver with 7. The lowest was Chris Moore with -9. It just was not a efficient game for the team in general. Do I think that Auburn should be a little worried going to the SEC tournament in this week? If they're wanting to win it, probably. But you get some time to kind of fix your mistakes, try to find that energy you played with. So how tough you were at the beginning of the season. This past week, I mean, it was tough. It's tough watching Auburn, who, you have Dylan Cardwell and you have Janai Broome and Chad and all these guys, Chaney Johnson, all these athletic guys who are struggling to get rebounds. Alabama and A&M both just tore down Auburn from just getting board after board after board after board. And, you go in the tournament, and Auburn, I feel like, they're 1 seed in the tournament. They got a pretty decent draw. I mean, you got South Carolina and Arkansas. You'll play the winner of that game or not the winner of that game, but the winner of that game will play Ole Miss, and then you'll play the winner of you either play South Carolina, Arkansas, or Ole Miss in that first game, which, I mean, based on how the season went with those 3 teams, South Carolina, of course, being the tougher one out of that, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it looks like you would have a pretty reasonable draw to make it to at least the semifinals, where you'd either meet A&M, which please no, I don't want to see A&M anymore. Tennessee, Texas, or Vanderbilt in that quad, and then of course after that would be the championship game, which I mean Auburn got the easiest draw. I cannot lie, which as the number one seed should. If Auburn wants the number one overall seed in the March Madness tournament, though, you're probably going to have to make it to at least the semifinals. If not, you're probably going to have to make it to the championship, because everyone and their mother wants Duke to be that number one overall seed, and I think Auburn still gets the South region. If you want Janai Broome to win National Player of the Year, you're going to probably have to win this, but I don't think Auburn doesn't need to, though. All these. Of course, the goal right now is Auburn winning the national championship. That's the overarching goal. Janai Broome, he says he wants to win the National Player of the Year award because of what the team has done this year and has helped him grow as a player. But the main goal this year is for Auburn to win the national championship. And with how they've been playing, I do need, for me to feel very confident in picking Auburn to go all the way and seeing Auburn lift their first ever basketball trophy, the national champion, I'm going to need to see some effort being put in this tournament, and far greater effort than what I have seen from these past few games. Auburn is the best overall team in the country. They're the best overall team in the SEC. They're the best team that Auburn has ever seen in their entire history of having a basketball program. But these past two games, I have watched this team get outmanned in the paint. I've watched this team get out-efforted on the court. I can't see that anymore. I'm being selfish about this. I cannot see Auburn getting out-rebounded by another A&M or by Alabama or by South Carolina or Ole Miss or down the line, it's 15 seed team in the tournament. I can't see it. It would be 16 seed. I can't see it anymore. If you want to reach the goals that you set out to reach this season, you have built the perfect roster for you. You got Miles Kelly, who can light it up from anywhere on the court, who at some points is a little iffy at his accuracy. You have Todd Pettiford, who can give you, and Denver Jones, who can give you both sides of the ball, offense and defense. You got Chad Baker-Mazara, who, might be a nutcase at times, and definitely, he's a fun player to watch, but definitely needs to cool off at times, and kind of let things go. He got thrown out of a game this past week, yesterday, to be exact. And of course, you got the best player in the country in Janai Broome. You got Dylan Cardwell, who's one of the most efficient fives in the country. You have guys like Chaney Johnson, who's the hardest working player in college basketball. You have Jaheim Hudson, who can give you defensive reps off the bench. You got all these guys, and to watch the team kind of sit there and just get pushed out of the way and take things that they were not taking 3 weeks ago in the season. It's a little haunting to see. What's a disappointing season for this team? At some point, halfway through the year, we were pretty much on the speculation this was going to be an SEC championship team. If Auburn doesn't make it to, I don't think many people really care about the SEC tournament. I just want to see Auburn. If Auburn wins the game, I'm fine. If they, I actually need to see them win at least a game. If they lose to Tennessee, I don't care. In the tournament, we won the SEC regular season title. I'm fine with that and moving on. But in the tournament, if you don't make it past the Elite Eight, if you don't make it to the Final Four, it just feels like a wash. It just feels like everything just kind of fell apart in the end, and it's another Jabari year all over again, where it just kind of fell apart in the end. That's the scary part about seeing back-to-back games of terrible, terrible rebounding. And I don't want to be a negative guy about that too. I love this team to death. I've loved watching how this team has turned into the best team in the country and has had like 8 weeks in a row of being number one overall team in the country. 9 weeks. So if they probably won't be that this upcoming, they won't be that tomorrow. Auburn will definitely have moved down a spot or two. which I don't think they can reasonably move Auburn down further than 2. I think you just swap them and Duke. But yeah, I mean, it could be scary if I don't see effort being put in. But I mean, you got a favorable draw. I meant to get a picture of the bracket to put up here. But again, if you South Carolina and Arkansas, I probably would assume Arkansas get the win there. So Arkansas and Ole Miss, you'll play either one of those two, and I think Auburn's got a good draw with either one. I'd be okay with Ole Miss in that, just strictly to not play Calipari. I don't want to give Calipari any more things on his resume to get him into March. But yeah, favorable draw. You're still looking to be a number 1 seed. And regardless, it might still be the number 1 overall seed strictly because your season was better than Duke's by far. More quad 1 wins than anybody, more ranked wins than anybody. Hardest schedule in the country. I don't care what anybody tries to say about Duke. No one had a tougher schedule than Auburn had, especially in the non-con. You played Houston. You played Iowa State. You played Alabama twice. You played Kentucky. You played A&M. You lost that game, but regardless, you played A&M. You played all these other teams. Auburn has the best resume in the country. They're still in a 1 overall seed, regardless of how the tournament plays out. But good Lord Almighty, I need to see some better rebounding going forward. So yeah, that's getting started on Wednesday of this week. So we'll be talking about that on the Tuesday show, the Thursday show, and we'll probably have more answers. Probably have to put out a pregame show on Friday for that game on Pi Day 3.14. So yeah, have a pregame show on Friday. Talk about that. We'll still have the show on Thursday, and then after that it's March. It's March Madness time, and we'll have to do pregame shows every single day, pregame and recap days, depending on when the schedule works out. But don't forget that there is a College Loop bracket tournament. It's currently in the link in the description below. It's in the link in the description below. Join the College Loop March Madness bracket challenge because you yourself could win 2 free tickets to this year's 8A game on April 12th. It's a week after the tournament. Believe me, at some point I'll already know who the winner is because they'll just have wipe the floor with everybody. It's how the past 2 years have gone. So yeah, 2 free tickets to 8A on the line. Click the link in the description below. Sign up. Go ahead and get your spot in the bracket challenge. The brackets will come out. I'm pretty sure at the end of the conference, the end of this week, more than likely. When's the last day of the SEC tournament? It's usually that day after. So it's Sunday. So March 17th, we'll have a idea of what the bracket looks like, and then of course after that, it's just luck. And hopefully, I mean, if last year's anything, I think we had about 30 people in, and I think 20 of them, 20 to 25 of them picked Auburn to win. So after Auburn got knocked down the tournament, you're like, okay, well, all these guys just lost. It's just going down the line. So yeah, join that link in the description below. It's on the March Madness Live app. It's the TCL bracket challenge. The password is Feeling Loopy. And of course, the hashtag Feeling Loopy right there on the screen. FeelinLoopy. So, quick little break. After this break, talk about some Auburn football and kind of recap what went on in Auburn athletics this weekend. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes, looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feeling Loopy t-shirt as well as your College Loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. Of course, warreport.com, go to the shop, second page, you'll find the College Loop shirt and the Feeling Loopy t-shirt and the College Loop hat. Those couple of items you're going to wear in your entire life. And don't forget, College Loop Bracket Challenge. Link in the description below. Check that out. Now, Auburn football news. Spring practice is starting at some point, as far as I'm aware. They're gonna have to have it I just haven't seen dates anywhere. I don't know if that's just me not seeing it or me. It's just happening around me. But yeah, it's happening some point. I would assume this week. Um, so I'm just trying to find any days for that. But so it does look like Auburn will be the words. Auburn did have some news come out this week. The season opener has been moved from Saturday, August 30th to Friday, August 29th in Waco, Texas versus the Baylor Bears. Now, this does have some implications in a way. I mean, I was talking with my buddies about this, and his first thing was, "Oh, well, this is two trash teams, so they're just going to let them get the game out of the way." So Saturday's schedule is ridiculous. There's a bunch of week 1 games that is just really good, and views are views, and they need people watching games. So the most interesting game of the week is, of course, Auburn at Baylor. Move it to Friday. It'll be a primetime game on Friday evening, so it'll be everyone will be watching it. Of course, Auburn does not have a season opener at home. They have to wait till week 2 to see that game. That game is still on Saturday. But yeah, Auburn moved to Friday, August 29th to take on the Baylor Bears. And what will be the start of the third year of the Hugh Freeze era and the start of the Jackson Arnold era at Auburn, and whether or not it's him or Deuce Knight still up for discussion. Talking about that all throughout spring practice as we get prepared for A-Day this year on April 12th. Super stoked to see how this team looks. I don't know why I get so excited for A-Day. Nothing really ever happens outside of me getting disappointed in how the team looked. I think it's been 2 years in a row I've been very disappointed in just A-Day in general. But regardless, if Auburn has an A-Day, which it still looks like they will, next year, we don't know if they will or not. But yeah, that's the big news for Auburn football is just Baylor's been moved up to Friday. So if you got plans for game day for week 1 of college football, you will have to start a day early, which that week it starts on Thursday and then goes Friday, then Saturday, then Sunday, and sometimes Monday too. That week 1 of college football is everyone's playing, so we're going to find days that are open for people. So yeah, that's Auburn football news. Moving on, Auburn softball took an L yesterday versus Mississippi State. Still looking that way today as they're down 3-0 in the top of the third. Offense has gotten off to a slow start in back-to-back games now. Is it worrisome? At present day, yes, but I don't think it's anything to be too worried about. It's their first chance against the SEC team. Mississippi State is good. I mean, they got some good pitchers, and they're, of course, another explosively offensive team that Auburn is. And this game this week being in Starkville, probably, the edge goes to Mississippi State here. So no shocker there. You just got to pick up what you got and walk off. If Auburn doesn't win this, again, you move on to next week, where you got Georgia Tech on Wednesday, and of course Texas A&M this weekend in beautiful Jamie Moore Field. Auburn baseball currently up to winning the Old Dominion Series. So that game just went final. Winning the Old Dominion Series 2-1, taking down ODU 7-3 today. Yesterday losing 11-9, and then taking the win on Friday 10-4. So, yeah, a big weekend for Auburn baseball as they get prepared for UT Martin up next on Tuesday as Vanderbilt comes to play. Starting up their SEC conference schedule, that game it doesn't look like it'll be televised unless they haven't decided on that yet going forward. But, I mean, Auburn baseball has looked pretty good thus far. But it's taken some very iffy losses. So you get the Old Dominion loss, the UAB loss. You beat number 8 Oregon State, but somehow you lost to Holy Cross earlier in the year. So waiting for that team to get consistent. Then the last little bit of news before we get out of here. Got a shorter show. After the basketball rant, we pretty much got just news after news after news headlines to go through. Auburn gymnastics taking a pretty substantial loss to Missouri. Happens whenever you have a 9-3 happen on bars. Did tank it a little bit. But you hit where you needed to hit 49s across the board, but you just had some pretty low appearances from your vault and bar rotation. The gymnastics has had some struggles this season when it comes to playing on the road. Usually the judges favor the home team. I've seen it happen in real time, even with Auburn. Just got to move on. Missouri is a number 7 team in the country. I found that out during the meet, actually. They were number 7 in the country. I completely ignored that going into this weekend. But yeah, taking a loss, 198.1 to 197.15. But Olivia Greaves hitting her bar routine was immaculate. It was wild to see that the 9.3 just absolutely tanked it. I think she had like a 9.95. I think it was pretty close to that. But had a lot of great moments across the board in this meet. Gavin McLaughlin 9.975 on beam. You also had a 9.925 on beam from Paige Zancan. A lot of great performances across the board for this team. This team's still very good. The postseason is right around the corner for Auburn Gymnastics. Can't wait for that. And, of course, Auburn Baseball, Auburn Softball, getting ready to – softball to continue their SEC play, baseball to get started SEC play, and, of course, basketball. We're talking about basketball all week. SEC tournament in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. Can't wait for that to get started and see how Auburn looks. Brackets, a notebook will be out throughout this entire week, trying to see which team will be my Cinderella team, which team will I be a fan of, just to be a fan of them, just so I can win free tickets to 8A myself. Not enough people join, so I guess I just have to win it, and I get the free 8A tickets from me if I end up winning. But yeah, so don't forget, that's gonna do it for the Stop at the College Loop podcast. But again, in the link in the description below, the College Loop Bracket Challenge. Join it. And, of course, if you win, you get 2 free tickets to this year's 8A game. I'll have the tickets sent to you upon me finding out that you won. Again, I'm probably going to know before time because of the fact that it usually splits off. If Auburn gets knocked out, it definitely affects it. But, of course, check that out. Don't forget to do that. 8A is a fun time. 8A is a fun time. Don't forget to check us out on social media platforms, literally everywhere: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all those at the College Loop. And don't forget to follow us right here on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts. What is a successful season for Auburn basketball in March Madness? What makes this, like, where's the line? Where's the line at? Where is success and where is failure? I think there's an exact line in between, like, the Elite 8 and the Sweet 16. There's like a line right there. It's like you didn't accomplish what you needed to accomplish, and well, you just got bested by a team that was playing harder than you at this point. It's like one of those. There's a line right there, I think, where it's like success, failure for Auburn basketball. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe yet again. With that being said, thanks for watching some of the College Loop podcast, and as always, War Eagle.